Hello everyone. Welcome back to Yo Homeboys channel, where yesterday's grief is today's beef. Today we'll be talking about the super weapons that would define the 20th century, both the ones that did work and the ones that didn't. With that in mind, sit back, relax, and grab some sweet Lebensraum for the glory of the German fatherland, and let's dive into it. Schwerer Gustav. The Schwerer Gustav was built by Krupp Steelworks, and its mastermind was Erich Müller, operating under Hitler's direction. The Schwerer Gustav was the largest gun ever built, measuring 1,350 tons, built to punch through the French Maginot Line. It fired 7-ton shells, capable of punching through meters of concrete. Gustav's real enemy wasn't the Allies, it was logistics. Moving it required 2 parallel rail lines, thousands of workers, and days of assembly. It fired only a few dozen times, mostly at Sevastopol in 1942, where it demolished underground bunkers and destroyed ammunition depots. Its sheer size made it impossible to hide, slow to deploy, and vulnerable to air attacks. As warfare became faster and more mobile, the Gustav gun became a relic of an outdated mindset, one that believed size won wars. The Gustav gun was the only weapon in human history that needed an entire supply chain just to turn left. And while Germany was busy building guns the size of an apartment complex, Japan said, "Hold my sake." The Japanese battleship Yamato was the largest warship ever built, a steel-armored behemoth with 18.1-inch guns, the largest naval artillery ever used, built by the Kure Naval Arsenal and influenced by Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto's doctrine. It was meant to symbolize Japanese naval dominance. Yamamoto wanted a ship so powerful it could delete anything smaller than a small moon. But by the time Yamato launched in 1941, aircraft carriers already ruled the seas. Yamato was basically a medieval knight showing up to a drone fight. Its armor was nearly impenetrable, but it was too slow, too fuel-hungry, and too outdated to keep pace with modern naval warfare. It participated in a few naval battles, such as sinking a U.S. destroyer in the later part of the war. Its final mission, Operation Tengo, was a desperate one-way race to Okinawa. Without any air support, Yamato was overwhelmed by hundreds of U.S. naval aircraft. It fought bravely, even shooting down around 13 American planes, which is impressive considering that was like trying to beat NASA with a skyscraper. Eventually, it sank after being struck by multiple bombs and torpedoes, and after most of its AA gun crews were killed. If Yamato was the last stand of old-school naval power, Germany was already looking to the future, and occasionally way too far into the future. Part 3. The Vengeance Missiles. Germany's V-weapons were the first operational long-range guided missiles. The V-1 was a pulse-jet flying bomb that buzzed loudly until its engine cut out. When you heard the obnoxious noise stopping, you ran for cover. The V-2, designed by Werner von Braun, was the first ballistic missile. It reached the edge of space before descending at supersonic speeds, striking without warning. It was terrifying, not because of the explosion, but because you never heard it coming and had no warning, and no one could ever shoot it down. These weapons caused significant damage, but also launched the rocket age. After the war, von Braun aided the US in developing early space rockets and eventually the Saturn V. The America Bomber. The America Bomber was Germany's plan to build long-range aircraft capable of bombing the United States from Europe. Designs came from Messerschmitt, Junker, and Focke-Wulf, including flying wings and massive multi-engine aircraft. But Germany lacked the fuel, materials, and industrial capacity by the late war to build such a machine. Only a few prototypes, like the GU-390, made test flights. None were ever combat ready. And if you thought intercontinental bomber was ambitious, just wait until you see what happens when someone let Hitler design a tank. The P-1000 Ratte. The P-1000 Ratte was a proposed 1,000-ton super heavy tank, a land battleship armed with naval artillery pieces. Designed by engineer Edward Grote and proposed by the Führer himself, it would have been 35 meters long, 14 meters wide, and taller than a 3-story building. Its main guns, it had two, were the same 280mm cannons used on actual battleships. It would have had multiple secondary guns, anti-aircraft weapons, and a crew of up to 40. But the problems were obvious. It would crush every bridge in Europe, sink into muddy ground, require absurd amounts of fuel, and be visible from miles away. It wasn't a tank, it was a war crime against German logistics. German engineers realized it was impractical and impossible to mass produce, and in 1943 cancelled the project. The Ratte remains a symbol of the Axis's sometimes idiotic obsession with superweapons. And while the Axis were dreaming of land battleships and rocket-powered bee-buzz bombs, the Allies were working on something far more terrifying, a weapon that didn't need armor, tracks, or even a barrel. The Manhattan Project. The atomic bombs developed during World War II were the result of the Manhattan Project, a massive scientific effort involving over 100,000 people, led by J. Robert Oppenheimer and General Leslie Groves. The project ushered forth the first atomic weapons in history. The bombs ended World War II and brought in the Atomic Age and Cold War, a period defined by paranoia, deterrence, diplomacy, and the first threat of global annihilation. The first uranium and plutonium bombs were dropped on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, resulting in over 350,000 deaths due to the explosion and later radiation exposure. Some of the shadows of those bombed still linger in Hiroshima, a testament to the most successful superweapon ever built, one that weaponized the atom itself. But the story of superweapons didn't end in 1945. It got bigger, much bigger. The Tsar Bomba. The Tsar Bomba, detonated in 1961, remains the most powerful nuclear device ever tested. Designed by Soviet physicist Andrei Sakharov, it produced a 50 megaton blast, a nuclear explosion 3,000 times more powerful than Hiroshima. The fireball was nearly 5 miles wide. The shock wave circled Earth multiple times. It shattered windows and hurled people to the ground hundreds of miles away. The Tsar Bomba was never meant for combat. It was a geopolitical message to the West. A very simple message. Mess with us, and you and everyone you love will be annihilated by nuclear fire. Which reminds me of something else that needs to be annihilated with nuclear fire, comrade. That like and subscribe button. Click it! Stalin will be very pleased. Click it! Click it and you and I will be drinking vodka in Berlin tonight, comrade. The Age of Superweapons reshaped the world, but it also left us with a warning. Humanity's greatest strength isn't the engineering prowess to design weapons of mass destruction. It's the wisdom not to use them. Thank you for watching, and remember, if you feel the urge to build a 1,000-ton tank for the glory of the German fatherland, maybe don't.